Hey everybody, Daniel Hernandez, IBM's General Manager for Data and AI. And I'm going to tell you a story that is going to be unusual. It's a story of romance, a story of love, and it is all directed to Postgres. And it's probably a story that you would never hear from another IBMer ever. So why love? Well, first, I think everyone would agree that the world, especially now, would be a better place if there was more of it. And when it comes to technology and partnerships, like the one that we have with Enterprise DB, it's really from a source of love for the technology and the people behind the community and the company Enterprise DB. So I'm here to profess it, but let's start first with a little bit of setting. Just like any true romance, setting matters. And for us, the setting that matters most is that related to everything happening with our customers. Our mission in life is to help our customers become data-driven in everything they do, all operations, and to employ data to inform decisions, optimize processes, automate especially the mundane work from everyday life, and ultimately allow people to focus on the things that they enjoy and want to do. Artificial intelligence is today the best way to accomplish that. And it's through artificial intelligence that one of our most important clients, a leading online payment provider, over the last 90 days was able to onboard 25 million new users and do that with high client satisfaction and high resolution to any customer inquiry coming in through text because of Watson Assistant. It's also why one of the leading online mortgage providers has, since they implemented Watson Assistant, been able to enjoy $45 million worth of incremental loans that otherwise wouldn't have been possible without Watson Assistant. It's also why a company like General Motors, with operations everywhere, especially in the United States, is able to identify, mitigate, and control risk across their operations through open pages, which happens to, of course, embed Watson, which is our AI for business in IBM, to help them do that. These are just a few samples of the kind of stories that we can tell in real clients and the impact that it's having through the power of artificial intelligence. But here's the rub. None of this is possible, certainly not plausible, unless data is made available and is informing how artificial intelligence is applied, and then how artificial intelligence, once applied and put into production, continuously learns and improves. We like to say that there is no AI without IA. What we mean is there is no AI and there's none of those stories that will be possible unless you have an information architecture inside of your business that helps you collect, manage, discover, and put to work the data inside of your four walls, even outside of your four walls. And to make this possible, you really have to be able to collect anything and everything that would represent signals, that would represent the activity of your business. And unlike maybe a couple decades ago, when a certain database technology perhaps, would rule the day, the fact of the matter is there's simply too much choice, and developers are going to gravitate to what they know, and they're going to gravitate to what they love. Enter Postgres, one of the most popular databases for massively good reasons within developers, the default destination for a lot of applications that are being built today, applications that are being modernized and running in the cloud. And it's because of that IBM loves Postgres. So our love of Postgres kind of starts with that, which is recognition that it is an amazing database that developers love, that's being used for new application builds and even modernization of legacy and traditional applications, especially those that are running in the cloud. So this is how we arrive at the IBM and Postgres love affair. One that is anchored on recognition of what the community has already voted as one of its favorite databases in Postgres, and the foundation on top of which new applications are being built rapidly, existing ones are being modernized on top of. And because of that, some of the most precious data inside of the enterprise is now becoming available through it. So I like to think of the love affair between IBM and Postgres to be similar to the love affair embodied by one of my favorite movies by Quentin Tarantino, even though he didn't direct it, True Romance in 1994. I'm going to try to convince you that this is an apt metaphor for IBM and Postgres. Let's consider the four elements of any romance, especially a true one. Number one, there's typically love at first sight. Not always the case, but it's usually the case. Number two, there's always going to be a turning point that creates a connection that's going to be carried through that relationship forever. But there's going to be myriad of obstacles that are going to get in the way. And in the best stories, those obstacles are overcome and love will always prevail at the end. So let's explore the IBM Postgres connection and where love at first sight happened. In the case of True Romance, it was in the movie theater where Clarence is watching a movie and Alabama comes and there was immediate connection. For IBM, our love affair with Postgres really started with the love affair of Postgres within Netezza. And the acquisition of Netezza inside of IBM brought that to us. Netezza is one of the most successful commercial data warehousing businesses ever. In and outside of IBM, what a lot of people don't know is that Postgres is the core of that engine. So IBMers really got the bug that Netezza brought our way when it came to Postgres. But ever since then, it's been building and incubating. And I got to tell you, sometimes there's love at first sight, but there's also love at second sight. And for me, when I think about the people that are at Enterprise DB, there's a whole lot of IBMers that I've got a long, super intense professional relationship with. People like John Murphy, who actually is someone that I looked up to and was mentored by and actually became an executive under his leadership. Brad Noble, who used to tell me my mission in life is to have my software used in anger by developers and the community. Ashleen, who was one of the best offering managers that I've ever come across. And on and on and on. These are IBMers who have now come to Enterprise DB that are bringing the best of who we are to the community of Postgres. And I think it's absolutely something that's captured my imagination, certainly the people that I still work with here at IBM. Let's talk about the turning point. For Alabama and Clarence was when they got married in Vegas. That's when a lot of really interesting things started to happen. For us, as a corporation, we're betting on open source in everything. New software builds, modernization of our existing estates are open by design. If there's technology in the open source community that is vibrant, maybe even not vibrant with the community around it, built out, but extremely promising, it's more than likely we're going to embrace it, we're going to contribute to it, and we're going to help it become dominant. So this informs everything we're doing in Watson, everything we're doing across the entire data and AI portfolio, and it is part of the reason that we're embracing Postgres the way that we are, even though we are the providers and ardent supporters and massive advocates of DB2, IBM's relational database technology that's used in mission-critical workloads across the world. Let's talk about our strategy as an entire company. And it was before we acquired Red Hat, but it's much more important since we acquired Red Hat. And that is a belief that we need to be open by design. It's not just technology, it's also in the way that we work. But when it comes to technology, it's a belief that our cloud, our data and AI stack, including technology like Watson, which is our AI for business, ought to be where at its core 100% open source. And where we can make it open source, we certainly don't get in the way of open source projects. And often it will be the case that technology that might be owned by IBM gets replaced by open source as we make contributions into the community to support enterprise class workloads, or there are new exciting projects that come around. Now, it's for that reason that we've gravitated to Postgres. We became aware of its potential through Netezza, but the community votes by its feet. The application workloads at our customers are obviously enhanced and powered by Postgres technology. And our belief is when customers and our users vote that way, our responsibility is to embrace that, to bring it a part of our portfolio, and to do everything we can to encourage customers to take advantage of that technology. Second major change, really in direction, that pushed us towards Postgres and Enterprise DB is this belief that our technology needs to run anywhere. You have Amazon, you have Azure, you have Google, you have IBM Cloud, you have Alibaba, you have private data centers. No customer should be forced to run in only one of those environments. They ought to be able to run wherever they want. And when it comes to open source, and especially Postgres, its pervasive availability is consistent with what we believe and what we're encouraging our customers to plan for when it comes to their strategy. And I've already touched on this idea that while we're trying to help organizations become data-driven, none of that matters unless we give that AI and we train that AI and we progressively improve that AI with data. And because new applications are being built on Postgres, there are companies out there that prefer to have you locked into their walled garden, increase prices, reduce the level of service, and penalize you if you're trying to do the right thing and get away. And it's for that reason that we've made heavy investments inside of our own database technology, DB2, to support Oracle compatibility, which works wonderful for SAP, and why Enterprise DB works so hard to support Oracle compatibility within its engine, and that works well for everything outside of SAP, and why that combination is something that our customers have embraced. We already have several hundred customers that together we've been able to move off the tyranny of that lock-in, and through that, help them save a ton of money, sleep better at night, and really get to focus on the core parts of the business that they want to, which is not just keeping the lights on, but capturing new customers, serving them better. And just like all good romances where you ride it off happily into the sunset, this is where we are with Enterprise DB. IBM Enterprise DB entered into a strategic relationship that I would say is on par with some of the most strategic relationships we've ever entered into in the fourth quarter of last year. Through that, together, we've already helped hundreds of customers move off of Oracle. Through our partnership, we have the potential to help thousands more. And because of that, and additional advancements that we made, including bringing Enterprise DB's Postgres into IBM's cloud, that we're going to help new application workloads take advantage of the power of Postgres, especially those that are most mission critical, such as those running banks, insurance companies, and retail. And here's the thing, we're only just getting started. I started from the top saying that the developer and the user community around Postgres voted, we listened, which is why we're here. Our customers are telling us more of what they want. And I gotta tell you, I've been looking at the roadmap. It's gonna be an exciting future for this relationship. I can't wait to tell you how far we would have come 12 months from now when we're here at Postgres Vision 2021.
Okay, let's take a few questions from the community. First question for Daniel. How will the open source community evolve in the next year and beyond as AI adoption increases and organizations are putting more AI apps into production?
Here's kind of the beautiful thing about open source. It's we could speculate all day long, but the open source community in many ways is going to vote with code. And so um, the honest answer is I don't know. But here's what I do know, particularly as it relates to open source inside of AI. Today, Watson, our AI for business, is approximately 85% open source and going to be increasingly so. Algorithms that used to be necessary to be produced and enhanced in companies like IBM are now readily available in open source, whether it's for neural networks or pick your favorite algorithm in Python. And so I don't know is the honest answer, but what I do know is open source is going to be the way that most people are learning data science, even data engineering and related disciplines. And when it comes to AI, it's going to get progressively more important higher up in the stack, not just algorithms, but frameworks and toolkits, not just frameworks and toolkits for building and deploying models, but also testing for bias, mitigating that, testing for drift, mitigating that, and more. So it's going to be an exciting time. Who knows where we're going to end? The developers are going to actually choose by what they write.
Great. We see that enterprises are in various stages of data and AI maturity. Is my organization able to start at any point in the AI ladder, or does it have to be at the beginning?
So 99% of the applications of AI basically are using a technique called supervised learning. What this means is you train models through data you've got. And so your readiness is going to be dependent on a number of factors, one of which is, do I have data relevant to the problem that I'm trying to solve? If it's a prediction, for instance, on customer sales, it's around the readiness and completeness of that data, including factors inside that data, which is the thing you're trying to predict. But it isn't just the data that is the prerequisite. It's also whether or not you've got the right skills and ultimately know how to wield the technology, the majority of which is readily available in open source. And so whether you're ready is a factor of the problem that you're trying to solve, whether you got data, and you've got the skill using whatever the tools are at your disposal or the standard of your organization. So it really does depend. Probably the most often the biggest mistake is to presume that the data exists for the problem set that you've got or that it's in the right shape. It always leads to either mishaps in the project or failed expectations, usually.
Great. Thank you. Right now, we're in times of uncertainty due to being in the era of COVID-19. With that being said, how do you see the IBM and Postgres relationship moving forward in the future?
I just gave a keynote about like romance and love. I mean, like it's only going to get more intimate. I mean, who knows where this is going to go? The joy of the partnership is both of us are absolutely obsessed about our customers, and so they're going to tell us. What I will tell you is the integrations between EDB Postgres and our own toolchain, whether it's our DB2 data virtualization, which helps you do data virtualization across polyglot databases, our Watson stack, which is how you build, deploy models and deploy for computational AI applications like customer care. Like the integrations between our portfolios are going to deepen, which means any customer that's choosing to land data into Postgres, because of our integrations across the entire data and AI stack inside of IBM, will be able to enjoy that data much more completely and comprehensively than they can through any other vendor.
Great.
Hey, Frank, I can't hear you.
What do you see as the true value of integrating EDB and IBM?
You're breaking up, but I think it was, what do you see as the true value? So let me, I'm going to assume that was the question. I'm going to answer that question. How's that? While you work on your technical difficulties, Frank, just to prove this is all live here. The data exists to serve some purpose. Typically, it's the transactional workload that created it. So, returning who my customer is and whatnot. But the after capture effects of that data are largely dependent upon the ability for you to discover that data, the ability for you to understand what that data means, typically within a business context, not just the technical metadata context. And all of that potential is only going to be dictated based on or taken advantage of to the extent that your business can trust that only the right folks who ought to have privilege to that data have privilege to that data, which is related to governance. And so as we think about the integration of our portfolio, there are obvious integrations, some of which are already enumerated, like our data virtualization technology ought to embrace and take advantage of Postgres. We are. Our BI technology needs to be able to discover, understand, tap into our data integration portfolio. But there are non-obvious optimizations we've got to take advantage of too, related to data governance, which afford companies the comfort that if this data is made easily discoverable, that it's not being misused by adversarial actors, for instance, which is typically treated as a tax inside of most companies, but in this day and age, it's a super important concept and a concept that we are advancing through our data governance portfolio in IBM.
Great. Well, Daniel, thank you for answering all those questions. And thank you, everyone, for joining us in this keynote session. Just as a reminder, John Murphy, who Daniel alluded to, who's our SVP of Product, along with John Dalton, who's our Senior Director of Product Management, will be joining us at 10 o'clock to go through the EDB roadmap. Those of you who are EDB customers or soon want to be and get a view of the future, stop by the main theater again to catch up on everything that's going on. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, everybody.